those kind of technical things, again, that's not something a marketer should be thinking about every day, right? And nor were they hired to be a developer. And I think that spans across a lot of different technologies today. But yeah, the idea with Knack is to try to abstract all of that technology complexity away from the marketer so that they can really focus on what they do best and the biggest, make the biggest impact that they possibly can, sort of thing. And yeah, I think more than ever now, Kevin, I think marketers and everybody are more than willing to adopt new technologies in order to kind of level themselves up, right? So that they can make a bigger strategic impact.
Hey everyone, I'm Kevin Kerner, and welcome to Tech Marketing Rewired from Mighty and True. This is a show that asks a dozen or so senior B2B marketers the same three questions about where and how they are rewiring in real time. This particular series, Past the Pilot, is about what teams are actually doing now that the AI experiments are allegedly over. Today is Brendan Farnand, co-founder of Knak, the platform enterprise teams use to build email and landing pages at scale. He spent years helping marketers create on-brand content faster and easier than ever. Exactly the right person to ask what's worth handing to AI and what still isn't. Stick around, and I promise you'll walk away with one thing you can test this week. Let's get into it. This is Tech Marketing Rewired. Brendan, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you on.
Thank you, Kevin. Happy to be here.
You've done a lot of building since the Cognos days. What's the thing that you think has stayed the same, to say true in marketing since being at Cognos back in the old days?
Well, I will tell you, I was very fortunate to start my career at Cognos as a marketer. And, one of the other things that I'm really fortunate about with that role was I didn't know what any other organization was doing at that time. So when I came in to my first job out of university at Cognos as a marketer, I saw, what I didn't realize was maybe the most advanced marketing organization in the world.
Hmm.
The things that the marketing team at Cognos was doing was extremely advanced. I think a lot of organizations, I mean, I talk to tons of enterprises now. I will say there's a lot of companies still trying to catch up to where Cognos was
Yeah,
like almost 20 years ago.
yeah,
It's wild. Like the attribution reporting that we had
yep,
full blown marketing automation. We were actually early Eloqua customer back then and had things set up just super well. Yeah, as you can imagine, our data foundation was incredible as a BI company.
yeah,
Yeah, our reporting was unbelievable. We went down to very detailed levels of how campaigns were performing,
yeah,
how we could, do better next time. We had this great reporting loop that everybody had access to. Um, and just a real demand gen engine that was set up there. And again, I came in kind of going, I guess this is how every company does it, right? And
not
then
so much.
I went to other companies and I saw, what they were doing, and I actually, I feel very blessed to have seen what, really good advanced marketing looked like at that time. And I actually, part of my career I spent bringing those learnings to other companies and helping them innovate, their marketing processes and technologies and operations, and things like that. So that really kind of shaped the rest of my marketing career, certainly.
Yeah, it's kind of telling given the Knack. I was looking through Knack this morning about the tagline right on your website. Let's make life easier for marketers. That's a really
Hmm.
good because back in the day, Cognos, some of that wasn't very easy, but the Cognos sort of front end gave you that type of visibility that you just couldn't get anywhere else, and so it's pretty amazing. The making life easier for marketers. Tell me a bit about that as given your background, why you started Knack and how have this vision to try to make it easier for people.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin, as a father of many children, of course, you want everything to be easy. every day as much as possible. I think every marketer wants their job to be easy, and I think more than that, what I always found as a marketer is it's not that the job was hard or I wanted to cruise or have an easy job. It was more that I could never work on the things that I felt were the most impactful things that I could do because I was stuck working on the things that I had to do, right? The mechanics of building campaigns. There was a lot of technical intricacies with every campaign that's run. My co-founder and I actually we met at Cognos as
Hmm,
I think
hmm,
so we both saw this problem. I was doing product and solutions marketing and he was doing email marketing and demand gen and kind of saw the struggles from different sides, but we both experienced kind of the same thing where we're not technical people. The reason that I went to into marketing to become a marketer was because I'm a creative guy. I want to make a big impact on the brand that I work for and the business that I'm working at. And I did feel very hamstrung for a lot of my career where I actually couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. I remember at IBM, taking on a couple of new products, and the IBM way was, hey, look, here's your products, let's start building some awareness around them. We're gonna do these campaigns, and I had some ideas for what we could do, and it's like, hey, well, now how do we build them? And it's like, well, here's the budget pool for working with a big agency, and it's like, okay, so I don't actually build them. I have our campaign plan and I've got to work with an agency and spend the budget and the weeks and weeks to get them created. And it kind of just those kinds of things kept happening throughout my career, not just at those companies, but
hmm.
later on. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why Knack.
Yeah. I always thought that, like, in big marketing organizations back in the day, the marketing teams that are running marketing in, let's say, an IBM, they're more like procurement than anything else. They just kind of have a pool of money and they just go to others and they have the things done and then they review it. Yeah, it's just harder to get. And nowadays, of course, it's so interesting to me that Knack was started probably during the AI thing years ago, but now you're fully into it. How much, I don't say easy, it's not easy to build what you've built, but it's certainly easier to get these tools in the hands of people that are actually, like, thinking about the work, not just asking someone else to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think Kevin, I think we can probably thank a lot of different technologies for that,
Mm,
right?
yeah,
Marketers, I think actually everybody in every role is now super enabled with tech, right? And they're doing things that they could not do before because they were too technical. And I think that's really the story of the Knack platform, right? Is like we've taken something that was historically a very technical process, like creating emails, believe it or not, every branded email has HTML code in the background that
mm,
is, very complex and intricate for all the different marketing, the email clients and devices and things like that out there. And, you know, those kind of technical things, again, that's not something a marketer should be thinking about every day, right? And nor were they hired to be a developer, and I think that spans across a lot of different technologies today. But yeah, the idea with Knack is to try to abstract all of that technology complexity away from the marketer so that they can really focus on what they do best and the biggest, make the biggest impact that they possibly can, sort of thing. And yeah, I think more than ever now, Kevin, I think marketers and everybody are more than willing to adopt new technologies in order to kind of level themselves up, right?
yeah,
So that they can make a bigger strategic impact. And that's, we've been doing that for years, and we're now doing it even more and even kind of a faster rate with AI. So it's pretty exciting time.
Yeah, it really is. And tools like yours help people bridge that gap between the scariness of the technical part to actually getting a lot more done. There are a lot of enablers that do that. I saw a quote that on your LinkedIn profile just recently about I'm super interested in design and development together and working together better. And there's a blurring of lines now, even like who does the development, who does the design, because
Mm,
now I saw something Figma had put out about, their Figma to MCP connection, and it was really interesting because they had a designer and a developer talking about it, and at the end they asked, "Well, who should own the design?" And the developer said, "Well, we should," and the designer said, "Well, we should." Like they both have that feeling. This Jack Steele, who's one of your director of engineering, he had a great quote. So designers are almost speaking the same language as developers now. They're working off the same canvas, and it's really breaking down the friction between design and development, which I totally agree.
mm.
How do you see that, and how do you see designers and developers getting in the same flow instead of just kind of keeping out of each other's way?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing to see. Certainly at Knack, our development team and product team and design team, a lot of those lines right now across those teams are becoming blurry, right? And I think it's because of what we were chatting about earlier. You know, the accessibility of these things like design to developers who are not designers and development to designers who are not developers, that's becoming actually more of the same spectrum, right? And it's pretty neat. I think what that's allowing us to do, number one, is become a lot closer together, right? All of these things historically, even if you look at Knack 6 months ago, right, we were using Lovable to do, our designers were using Lovable to do prototyping and things like that, and we thought that was pretty pretty awesome, right? So
Yeah,
because that was like workable prototypes, it's not just flat images. We would kind of pass that over the wall to the development team, and the developers were pretty thrilled because they had a kind of a
yeah,
semi-working, piece of technology that was, all built with our design language, of course, and all of that kind of stuff. So it seemed to collapse a lot of things. Now, fast forward to today, we actually just canceled our Lovable subscription because we now have designers and developers in the same platform. So not only are we speeding up the processes that existed before, before it was the same kind of thing, just faster, right? Faster to design, to prototype, faster to pass to the developer and have them understand and build. But now it's collapsing even more, and them being in the same exact platform, we're actually seeing designers be able to design things and have them be coded in a way that developers actually have a head start on developing, and it's even using some of our development practices and things like that. So the really those lines have completely blurred today. Before it was like, okay, things are just really a lot faster, better handoffs. Now there isn't handoffs. It's just one continuous motion. And what that allows for us is of course we can move so much faster. We can prototype fast, we can build fast, and we're delivering just a ton more value to our customers every day, which is pretty exciting place to
yeah. It's
be.
incredible. Yeah, that interlock between the design and dev. I'm seeing more designers in GitHub now than I've ever, more marketers inside of that tool. It's some sort of development environment. And, you gotta get comfortable with that some of the language there, but it's really a game changer when you're in that same repo or environment as a developer and you start talking their language and vice versa. There's a
Mhm.
lot I mean, I guess developers have always been in Figma and other design tools, but there's a lot more connection between the design side now.
That's it. I think that's it. And those tools, that are actually kind of building in the background, right? That's something that we've always done at Knack, right? Is we've been that tool that where you actually kind of design or produce and then have it kind of be coded automatically in the background based on, of course, best practices and things like that. Maybe not developers, a certain developer framework, but for whatever channel that it's going to. And I think there's a lot of parallels, Kevin, to what is happening in marketing today, right? As well, from kind of design all the way through to execution of marketing campaigns. Marketers, there's a lot of talk. We had our customer advisor board last week, and there's a lot of talk about the full stack marketer and what does a marketer look like today, and how is that different from where what it used to be. I heard a while back about marketers typically were quite T-shaped, right? you,
Yeah.
you know what that means.
Yep. Yeah.
Where they
Could
do
dig
a
into
lot of
one.
things, but they're deep on maybe one or two areas, right? And I think the opportunity with AI and what that's provided for marketers is the ability to not be T-shaped, but actually maybe like square shaped or something,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah. Right.
you can kind of go deep everywhere without having to have that deep knowledge, right? So a full stack, it's both width and depth, right? Which is pretty incredible. And so yeah, I think that's kind of what's happening in marketing and marketing operations today, that the true modern marketer today, or a real full stack marketer, can do so much, all the way from design of their campaign, in adherence with their brand standards and design systems and language, all the way through to, execution of those campaigns and reporting, sort of thing, all on their own. That to me, if I were to think about, my days as a marketer, that used to be 5 people,
Yeah.
right? And probably 6, 8 different technologies involved in that whole thing. And now
Yeah.
it's collapsed into one full stack marketer. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's very exciting as a marketer too, because you have all this capability that you couldn't get access to before. It was always there's always a wall up. I can't get to that stuff. Do you think that so your platform Knack is getting a good way there to give the more capability to the end marketer? Where do you think things are going? I mean, as a platform provider that does part of this, like where your solution is sort of pushing the envelope on what a marketer can do and create. Where do you think it's gonna what are you guys looking at in terms of where it's headed? How much more
Yeah,
capability can you give the marketer?
yeah, it's a good question. I think you know one of the questions that we are constantly asking our customers is, if you were to take all of the friction away from all of your processes in marketing, what are the possibilities, right? What could you then do? And there's a lot of talk right now about, a couple different areas, but one, volume, right? You could do as much volume as you want to do. We talk to a lot of organizations that are just not doing the amount of marketing that they want to because they can't, right? They
Yeah,
don't have enough resources, their processes are too slow. Those kinds of things are real things. I live that as a marketer as well. It's like, man, if I just had more time, right?
yeah,
I could do so much better of a job with, this campaign, or I could do more follow-ups and get more interest for this event that I'm running or something, right? Those things are real. And so I think volume, number one, can go to a place where you actually want it to be, right? That's number one. I think number two, what that actually unlocks, Kevin, is not just like, hey, let's just blast our database every day. I mean, you could do that. That's not going to be great for you. But I think what that actually unlocks is the ability to test and iterate, right? That I talk to so many marketers who don't test, and they don't build A/B tests, and they don't look at their reporting, and they don't iterate based on what works and what doesn't. And I think when you break down all the barriers of, producing campaigns for marketers, you unlock that ability to be able to do some testing and really learn from the results of your own marketing, which I think is just really, really important. So I think that's the second thing. And then I think the third piece, and kind of maybe the result of some of that, is really high performing campaigns, right? This is really what it's all about, is like, how do I now engage my audience in a real authentic way, right? And that's becoming more and more important, Kevin, with AI, not just because of all the AI slop out there, but also because I think consumers are using AI on the other end, right? Our
Yeah.
customers, our
Yeah.
prospects are all using AI to filter out all the crap that they don't care about, right? And so, how do you break through in that kind of world? It's I'll tell you, it's not by, sending more AI slop to
Yeah.
your customers and prospects. It's by learning what actually works, what engages your audience, and how to talk to them. And I think, the best way to do that certainly is to keep, some taste, some human element to your marketing.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And I think too, the building personalized content and things like that, when you have zero friction for producing, incredible campaigns, you can do some amazing things with personalized content, and that is really highly engaging for your audiences. And so I think the possibilities are pretty amazing to think about, but I think it's going to take some time for especially enterprises to get there with their marketing, and to truly enable those full stack marketers with what they need to do that.
Yeah. It's interesting too. I think that even if you had that most advanced technology that had agentic looping and goals and all the things that you set the AI on a course of, there's a certain amount of like cultural change that needs to happen or just thinking that needs to change. There's a lot of training involved. So these things are happening very fast from a tools perspective, but there's also a big sort of muscle memory that you need to break down to get some of these new tools working the way you want them to work. But it's the capabilities are absolutely there. That leads me, I wanted to, we are started a new part of the show where we're going to get into some benchmark questions. So this is great fodder for the questions I'm about ready to ask you. But I'm going to ask you three questions, and these three questions are going to be asked to everyone on the show, and then we're going to compare to see how it changes over time. We'll probably do 10 of these or so, and then can then put out some sort of end result summary of this. So I'm going to go through three questions. You can answer them either from what you're seeing from your customers in your case, or you can answer them for your own marketing organization. But let's dig into it.
Great,
So
let's do it.
this first question is, what's one AI effort, tool, or workflow you put into production this year that made a real impact? So an AI effort, tool, or workflow that you put into production that made a real impact, and one that you killed and why.
Wow. Wow, very interesting. So, okay, one I would say that made a real impact, I would say, we're actually we built an agent in our campaign creation workflow. We want to be at Knack, of course, we want to be drinking our own champagne, and trying to be essentially on the forefront of what the market is doing, and where our customers want to go. So we're doing a lot of experimenting with our own agentic workflows and processes and things like that. So yeah, we have built an agent that actually houses a lot of kind of base level information uh, of our brand and our our brand guidelines, look and feel, those kinds of things, brand voice, all that kind of stuff. And what we do is we feed every campaign that we do, we actually feed a number of inputs into this agent. And so when we kick off a new campaign at Knack, we have a whole bunch of artifacts, right, that are part of that. One is a campaign brief. We also have a Notion page where the campaign brief lives, but also a bunch of other information like research that we've done, discussions with customers, those kinds of things are all on there. So those all flow into the agent. One of the interesting things that we just kind of realized is we're also having all of these kickoff calls and discussions about the campaign where a lot of information is captured. And so we're actually now feeding all of those recordings of the calls about the campaign
Love it.
into this agent as well. So this agent has this incredible context on, the campaign itself and even how it's evolving along the way. But it
Cool.
also has all that foundational things that don't change very often, right? Like our brand and all of those pieces. So what that is enabling us to do is now feed that agent information for the campaign and have that kick off the campaign being actually produced in our platform. And that's where like we're seeing a lot of our customers go is being able to kind of feed the kind of downstream platforms that are actually doing the best of breed, best in class creation or production of these campaign assets, and then having those pieces kind of build the actual campaign, go through a workflow, do translation, localization, like kind of all the
Love it.
pieces of that channel in the platform, and it's pretty amazing to see that happen, Kevin. Like, yeah, it's we're what it's actually unlocked for us. Number one is a lot of speed, right? It takes a lot of the guesswork out of creating. Like, oh boy, which header should we use for this campaign? Which one, you know, we have to go back and look which one performed the best for on the last campaign, those kinds of things like that, all that together with our agent context and then the
Yeah.
performance and all the data that we have in our platform, mashing those together is amazing to see happen. So the speed, the quality of which we're seeing the campaigns come out of there are pretty amazing. And so yeah, that's been really
Cool.
cool to
Yeah.
see us kind of like agentify that process. And that's kind of what we're hearing our customers trying to do every day too. So
I love voice data. I don't know if I'm a major Whisperflow user. I can't even
mm,
type anymore. I use it so much. It's just insane. But you get into these like conversations with the AI, and it's just that added context plus the skill, the stuff that doesn't change with the context of the stuff that's specific for the moment it's just absolutely incredible how the structure and the synthesis of what you say, like, you feed that. Plus, you're loading in additional, like, campaign data. That's even better. What's
yeah,
one thing you killed? What's one, thing that you killed in this an effort that you're like, "Oh, that didn't work."
yeah.
Anything?
Yeah, no, yeah, there's stuff. There's definitely stuff. I mean, we've gone through the whole spectrum, Kevin, of hey, let's try to do this totally headless, right?
Yeah,
Let's have
yeah.
agents just go all the way through the process, call our MCP, push everything through, a human doesn't see it till the very end. I will say that some of the stuff coming out the other end was, I don't know if you qualify it as slop, but it certainly was not up to our standards, right? We at Knack, when we do marketing, like we're marketing to marketers, right? So our bar for quality is very high. And when we had some campaigns that were kind of created fully agentic, we just felt like there was something missing there.
Yeah.
And at our customer advisory board last week, OpenAI was there and they were talking about how they require a marketer to actually go in to a AI generated campaign and actually like that's like the first step after it's generated. The marketer has to go in and read it, tweak it. It's that taste, right? They have to add the taste and the human element to their marketing campaigns or it doesn't go out the door. And I think, for us, we saw that firsthand and we're now doing that, right? We want to make sure our marketers are involved somewhat in the process. We want to speed up what we can with agents, but not have them do everything. I think that at least right now, it didn't seem to yield as good of results as when a human is
Same,
there.
same. I'm seeing the same thing. I'm glad to hear you say that. It's almost impossible. Even when you nail the process and the skills and everything is totally nailed. You would think you could just press a button and it would come out great, and it just is not happening yet, which is, I guess, is it's a vote for us humans right now because we need to be there. But it's just not there yet. Let me ask you the second question. Is there anything that's still stuck in pilot, meaning something you expected to be running by now that isn't?
Still stuck in pilot. Yeah, good question. I think right now, one of the things that we're working really hard on at the company is actually data and being able to have one place across the business that everyone can go and interact with the company's data, right? Whether it's a finance person, whether it's a marketer, whether it's a sales leader, we want everyone to have access to the data. And I think that that piece, I wouldn't say that it's, like not possible. It's certainly, I think it is possible today, but
Yeah.
I think it's more difficult than maybe what you read on X today to allow for that. And so that's something that we're working really hard on to make sure that is going to be possible. It's definitely taking more time than we'd expected, but yeah, we
Yeah, but if you get it
something
right,
something we think is important. Yeah,
yeah, if you get it
exactly.
so something you're not gonna kill because if you get it right, it's really the foundation for everything, and the AI
Mhm.
tools are making it maybe a little easier to do that, but still really hard to get a consolidated data view. I agree. Completely agree. Okay, let me ask question number 3. Then you may have answered this already, but I'd be interested to see if there's another thing. But what's the one thing your team won't hand to AI yet and why?
Yeah, I do still think it's the writing stuff, right? I think we're like, again, writing. AI is great at getting a foundation built and ideating and things like that. I think it's really excellent still or today at that. I still think what I'm actually doing now internally is like I'll have a great meeting with a customer or something like that, and it'll be recorded, and I'll get AI to give me a summary of the meeting, but I don't just send that out internally, right? Because I find what happens is, number one, it's very long form.
Verbose. Yeah.
I get a lot of documents that's like it takes so like a fraction of the time to that it took to create it to actually read it,
Mm,
right? Like
yeah.
it's like a 30-minute read of a 10-page document that, like, I think the person who created it probably didn't even read it themselves, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like there is a bit of a strange gap there where what I'm doing is I'm getting now my summaries from AI and I'm using that just to remember the meeting itself. And I am
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Good call.
number one, I want them to feel my voice there. I want them to feel like it is coming from me, but also there is a lot of there's some inconsistencies in the AI write-ups, but also you're right. It's very verbose. Like there's
Yeah.
pieces that I'm like, what, that's not important. I want to
Yeah.
skip that, or I don't need to tell others that part of the story. And so that's yeah, that's a big thing that I'm seeing.
Yeah, very good. I think you know what's so super interesting to me is like the verboseness, the depth of the stuff that it feeds back to you. And we get this a lot on the strategy side. So it'll run it through a strategy skill. It'll give you a great strategy, and it's a like it's long stuff. And so the one thought I had around this is that you have to. Some of the things are only going to be AI consumable to the next step. And so you might have a big MD file that you would never read the whole thing,
Mm,
but you're gonna feed that into AI, and AI is gonna just eat it up. So it goes to the next chain skill. But then there's the stuff like, well, I need a summary. I gotta get a summary of that. And then there's the summary piece. Getting as a marketer or even just as an AI consumer, getting in your head things that are need to be long because you're gonna feed them into AI in the next step versus things that you actually are gonna use are 2 different things. And they're both useful. Like the MD file downstream is pretty darn useful, but I don't wanna send it to you to read because 'cause you'll go, "What? This is just you just created this with AI."
yep,
Now you need to put it in something to summarize.
yep.
So it's just a different world that we live in terms of, like, copy, word length
E-
stuff.
Totally, totally. And I will say, like, even in the last 6 or 8 months, Kevin, the amount of long documents I'm being asked to read is
Yeah.
has like exploded.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Like great. We've got all this great, amazing AI and the ability to kind of take all this data
Synthesize.
and synthesize it. But I've never in the history of my career been asked to read so many 5 to 10 page documents. It's unbelievable.
Well, you just put it into AI and have it summarize it, and then that's the only thing
Yeah,
you can do on some of these documents. It's
right.
crazy.
Yes, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
nuts. Well, this has been great. So those are the first so you're the first person to answer those 3 questions. So you're setting the benchmark here. It's been really,
nice.
really pretty high. So one more thing I want to do with you is we do an AI roulette question, and I just tweaked the AI bot to be a little more snarky this I think I did accidentally. So it gave me the question here. I've been testing questions. So I'm gonna do a new one. So this I was using gems and then I went to Claude. I just put that in a Claude project. So I basically put in your profile and it's looked at everything and I'm gonna hit send here and it's just gonna give you a question from directly from the AI bot here. So let me do this.
Nice. I'm excited.
Okay. Okay, Brendan. Cars can't think. I can. You'll pick the car every time. So what's the dumb one got that I don't? So that's basically the
Wow.
AI asking you, what's the dumb one got that I don't? Why cars and not me, Brendan? What's
Wow. Is that so AI is asking me
yeah, AI's at
why
my AI is asking you that
not
question.
it? Wow. Well, that's it's
That's
interesting. I think
assuming that cars
yeah.
would probably win.
Yeah, definitely. If I could choose. But yeah, I think again, it comes down to being a little bit more human
Yeah,
right
that's right.
now. I feel like, yes, cars are mechanical things, but really when you put your hands on something and wrench on it and put some sweat equity into it, it's really rewarding. And then your car is actually almost like an extension of your identity, right? And so you make it your own. So I to me, that's why. It's because cars are
They're real.
physical, they're real, they're human, and we're all connected to those things in a real way. Or certainly I am when I work on stuff. So that's my answer. Do
100%,
you,
man.
Kevin? Do you feed the answer back into AI? Is that how
I
this
may,
works?
yeah,
So that
I may feed it back in and see
yeah,
what it
I,
we'll
I
see
don't
what
want to
it's,
know. I don't know.
I'll do
Yeah,
that after the fact. You know what's really cool though now in terms of really any sort of like physical skill, I was doing this with a drip line I was putting in on some like plants here, is you can take a picture of something now and then it will give you the thing, like what part is this or how does this fit here or did I do this
Mm,
right? That part is amazing. It's that combination of image and then the AI, and then you do the thing with your hands. That for me has been like a game changer because I'm
mm.
not very bright when it comes to some things. It just figures out the thing. It's incredible.
That but that's the isn't that the perfect cross section, Kevin,
Yeah,
of human and AI? Like I do the exact same thing. I swear, like I have a pool, and I don't know anything about pools. Every single step, I'm taking pictures, and it's walking me through the.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
It's
Well,
real.
what's the when I was working on my truck a long time ago, there's that one book you always get when you're working on your car, and it's like you buy it at yeah, that's well, not even owner's manual, but there's a book you get at the Barnes& and Noble or something that's everything
Yeah,
you need to
yeah,
change in the car, and it's always
yeah.
greasy and you got dirt all over and the pages are all that
Yeah,
is pretty old.
the
There's something about that too.
isn't that the Haynes manual?
Yeah, that's right, the Haynes
Yeah.
manual. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. That's yeah, for sure. It is nice to have that all in
Yeah,
AI's brain instead of a greasy book,
that's
right?
right.
Yeah, that you might lose the pages of, that kind of thing.
Brent, it's been great talking to you. I'm really a fan of what you guys are doing at Knack. It's really some awesome stuff. I would encourage everyone to go look at what, Brendan's doing. And, if people can get a hold of you or the company, like, how do you want people to stay in touch with you?
Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, definitely LinkedIn. I'm pretty responsive on there. Just link in with me anytime, or yeah, shoot me an email, Brendan@knack.com. Happy to chat anytime.
Awesome. So good to talk to you, Brandon. Take care.
Nice to talk to you, Kevin. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.